Hi class, and welcome back to Writing 201. In today's class, we're going to focus on subject matter, specifically answering the question, should you write what you know? Some authors will say yes, and some will say, what does it matter? Me, I'm kind of in the middle. You see, the thing about that question is it's kind of a loaded one, where if you try to write something that is so out of left field for you and you're really trying to make it happen, but it's just not coming naturally to you, and therefore making it harder for the reader to buy into what you're trying to sell them in terms of what the story is, then yes, you should only write what you know. But what does that actually mean? Writing what you know, to me, means you kind of enrich your life around writing. You communicate with people you never would communicate with, or at least you try to be a wallflower in environments that you're not really accustomed to or familiar with. So you see, the thing about your knowledge, and I don't mean knowledge about writing, knowledge about life, knowledge about all things that not only are included in the world in black and white, but the questions, the gray. If you have a character doing something as a profession and living a life that is out of your norm, then it will be difficult for you if you're new to the world of writing. And that's why it's important to really listen to people actively, whether it's in the workplace or at home or in your hobbies and however you live your life. So let's look at this from the academic perspective, the academic learning. When you are told by your teachers, let's say when you're doing a bachelor's and you're about to finish and you're doing a writer's studio class, and they tell you about what is expected of you in a master's program. Usually they'll include the word research and writing a thesis. Now, the thing about that, the thing to really learn from that experience and demand of you as a writer in the precipice of learning, is that is just the basics of how to be professional in your writing process. Now, being professional in your writing process is important in terms of having those founding blocks and then adding to it with your master's and even your PhD if you so choose to do. And that's really more of a personal choice if you want to be a teacher. But if you're just interested in being a writer and nothing else, then those lessons, even if you are lucky enough to have your tuition covered and everything, those will only get you so far. Those will only teach you so much about writing. It will only teach you the dry facts of writing process. But writing process is personal. Okay? And that's why when it comes to the question of subject matter, specifically, like I said at the beginning, write what you know, it's not about being all-knowing or being the person who has the dullest sword in I guess writing a technically well-written book. Okay? So let's get some examples going. For example, you write a character that has not only a profession that's outside of what you understand and are well knowing of, but also has a personality and an environment that you're not accustomed to. How do you do that? How do you incorporate subject matter and information outside of your, not just your scope of practice, but your scope of practice as a human being? Well, that's where you really have to get out of your comfort zone as an introvert and really listen to people actively, not for the sake of making friends or foes, but really understanding the difference in manner of speaking and mannerisms and how they do problem solving, their types of emotions and levels and context of those emotions, all that kind of stuff. Pardon me. So, really, what my answer is to should you write what you know? It's kind of in the middle. If you want to give a sense that you know what you're talking about, it's not just theoretical or text block information that you're not just like getting a good understanding of, but implementing. But you also have to, talk to people. So let's say your main character has a job in the government sector, and you've never worked in the government sector. How do you get into that world? Is it necessary for you to understand that world? Well, that depends on the level of fiction that you write to. Let's say you completely fictionalize this city or town's government. You should still have a sense of how government kind of works. Not necessarily the rules of government, but kind of like what is permitted to you to do in that place that you live in. And then try to understand other places' way of being governed. And then once you understand that, you try to make rules that apply to what is needed for the story, not just to function and move forward, but what makes sense for the context of what you want to have as an evolution to the story and to the characters. Okay, so it's everything that you do in writing has to do with what is best for the story. That's really what it comes down to. Now, I'm not saying start doing whatever you want, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do whatever you want. I'm saying it's better to understand what your story is before you put pen to paper. And when you're thinking about that question of write what you know, it's more like write what you feel is best for the story, and ask yourself, is the idea that I have for this story clear and concrete to me? Now, for argument's sake, even though this is a second level class, let's say you're very new to writing. You haven't even published anything yet. Well, that is where you have to be patient and understanding of the fact that the first thing you're going to publish isn't going to be, or at least it's not always going to be, well received and well understood. You can have a very good foundation in terms of your academic knowledge of storytelling, and the story can still be crap. Not to you, but to the reader. You see, I know writers that have a clear and concise understanding of how to construct a story. But knowing how to construct a story is different than understanding the human impact of your story. You can look at your story and go, I like that. It's clear, the grammar is great, the characters make sense, the world is lavish and sensical to me. I think this is going to do well. Well, the reader might not care about all that. What they care about is the visceral reaction and their connection to the story. How they feel. Like, to me, a good book is when you close it, when you're done, and you're just sitting there like, whoa, that was good. I gotta sit down. Oh my god, whoa, damn, that was intense, or that was sad. I gotta really take stock of my life, or I'm grateful for what I have, and I have so many questions now. That's how it should be. It should be so like, it should take them out of their black and white life. We all have our idea of our reality and our perspective of ourselves and our environment and everything. But when we indulge ourselves in any form of storytelling, we either want to forget everything that's going on outside of our indulging of a story, or we want to be entertained while watching or reading or listening to something that evokes some kind of echo and connection and understanding of who we are as a human being. Now, not all readers are like this. Some readers like self-help books or just any version of a nonfiction book because they're okay with having a black and white life. But some of us, or at least I hope most of us, love the gray, love the questions. And that's the kind of writer I am. I love being in the gray because I love questioning everything, because I'm always questioning myself and questioning the wonders of the world, because we're only here for a short amount of time. So why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we ask questions? Why shouldn't we explore what is beyond what we know? See, that's why I never even really thought about that question of write what you know, because it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but like we shouldn't put so much weight into it. It's more understanding our own curiosity and valuing. Please value your curiosity and value how that curiosity can mean something to someone. So when you're thinking about that question, write what you know, try to rephrase the question as write what I need to make this feel real to me and therefore real to the reader. Now, there was something that I was trying to echo here, because I did a little TikTok about this class. I was trying to introduce people to the class. It's important to understand how big or small your idea is before you even start doing an outline. Let's say your idea is small and you want it to grow, but you don't know how to do that, and it feels like half an idea, right? And you don't have enough material to make it full. Well, that's where a lot of reading comes in. That's where you have to purposely take a back seat and say, you know what, let's pause for a minute and read as much as we can, and maybe we try to read something in relation to what we want to write about, and see how that author did it, and then pick out whatever specific subjects we want to research, or even people, and see how we can implement that into our writing. And you can do that with nonfiction as well. Let's say you're writing a politician's, either their biography or just some particular event that is rich enough to do that. Well, that's where you got to go a little nuts with your research, not just for physical material like news articles and whatever, but also people involved with that person's I guess eye-catching life in the public eye, that sort of thing. But getting back to fiction, because that's my specialty, when you're fictionalizing anything that you understand from your reality, it's a matter of understanding what is it about those components of my life that can relate to this particular idea that is necessary for this story. That is the big one. What is necessary for a story? Not what you understand in terms of theoretical and practical knowledge, but what is it about that knowledge that fits into the story, fits into what the character needs for the foreboding or foreshadowing circumstances that will bring them to where they want to go. So you have to understand your world building and emotional acreage, all this technical jargon. That's why your basics have to be clear before you start writing. It's not that you have to disregard all that when school is over. It's more like you just have to bridge that information with how real life works, and then take those two pieces and take the bits and pieces that work for the story that you want to take from an egg, and then see it hatch into something that you feel is concrete. I think that about says it all. If you have any questions, please follow me on Facebook at HEFletcher. I can also answer questions on Instagram. TikTok, not so much. I prefer Facebook and Instagram for questions. So, yeah. Okay. That is it for today, class, and I will see you next time.